Let's talk about an asteroid. A single asteroid that's supposedly worth more than every single economy on our planet combined. Seriously, this isn't some sci fi movie plot, it's a real object out there in space. So today we're going to dive into the story of 16 Psyche. It's this incredible tale of mind boggling riches, but also some really deep scientific discovery.
Just take a second and look at this number. That is 10 quintillion dollars, a one followed by 19 zeros. I mean, it's a figure that's pretty much impossible to wrap your head around, right? And believe it or not, that's the estimated value of all the metals locked inside just one single asteroid out there. And that asteroid has a name, 16 Psyche. Now, as you can imagine, a price tag like that, well, it gets people dreaming, right? Fantasies of space mining, becoming unbelievably rich. I mean, with that much money, you could make every single person on Earth a billionaire. But here's the big question we've got to ask. Is this number for real? Or is it just, a sci-fi fantasy?
All right, so let's get into it. First up, the 10 quintillion asteroid. Let's properly introduce this metallic marvel. What in the world is 16 Psyche, and how did anyone come up with that absolutely insane price tag?
Okay, so here are the basics on Psyche. It's what's known as an M-type asteroid. And the M here, well, it stands for metal. So unlike most of the asteroids you hear about, which are basically just big chunks of rock or ice, this one is packed with metal. It's kind of potato-shaped, and to give you a sense of scale, it's roughly the size of Massachusetts. You'll find it hanging out in the main asteroid belt, which is that big cosmic highway between Mars and Jupiter.
Now, this is what's really wild. Scientists think that anywhere from 30 to 60% of Psyche is just metal. We're talking mostly iron and nickel, which, interestingly enough, is a lot like what we believe Earth's core is made of. And that incredible amount of metal, that's where the whole $10 quintillion idea comes from.
But as awesome as that all sounds, it's time for a little reality check. Because that price tag, while it makes for a great headline, is actually pretty misleading. So let's talk about why you probably won't be getting a check from an asteroid anytime soon.
And don't just take my word for it. Even the lead scientist on the Psyche mission, Lindy Elkins-Tanton, who, by the way, was one of the people who helped make this number famous, she's on record saying the whole calculation was really just a fun thought experiment. It was never meant to be a serious business plan. And the reason why is all about a super basic idea from Economics 101, scarcity. Think about it. Things like gold and platinum, they're so expensive here on Earth for one big reason. There just isn't that much of them. They're rare. So what do you think would happen if all of a sudden a massive, unbelievable new supply of these metals just appeared?
Well, it's pretty simple, actually. If we somehow manage to drag all that metal from Psyche back to Earth, we wouldn't all get rich. We'd completely crash the global economy. You'd flood the market. The sudden abundance of iron, nickel, platinum, it would make them all practically worthless. The very act of bringing the treasure here would destroy its own value. Kinda ironic, right? Okay, so if the money's a myth, what's the point? Why are we even talking about this thing? Well, because the real treasure of Psyche has nothing to do with money. Its value is way, way bigger than that. It's all about the scientific secrets it's holding. Secrets about how planets, including our own Earth, came to be. The main theory, the one that gets scientists really excited, is that Psyche isn't just an asteroid. It's the leftover core of a baby planet, what we call a protoplanet. The idea is that billions of years ago, this little world was forming, but it got slammed into by other objects in a series of violent collisions that stripped away all its outer rocky layers, leaving only the dense metallic core behind. And if that's true, then Psyche is literally our only chance to see a planetary core up close. It's a journey to the center of a world that we could never, ever make on Earth. And you can imagine, a possibility like that raises some massive questions that scientists are just dying to answer. Like, first off, is it really a planetary core, for sure? And if so, how old is it? What does its surface tell us about the building blocks of planets? And here's a cool one. Did it ever have a magnetic field, just like the one that protects us here on Earth? I mean, figuring out the answers to these questions could totally change what we know about how planets are put together. So to get those answers, there's only one thing to do. We have to go there. And that brings us to the mission itself. Let's take a look at how NASA is pulling off this absolutely groundbreaking journey to a metal world. All right, so the spacecraft actually launched back in October of 2023, kicking off a long journey. We're talking 2.2 billion miles. It's not a straight shot either. In 2026, it's going to swing by Mars to get a little gravitational slingshot to speed it up. And then, if all goes to plan, it'll finally arrive at Psyche in August of 2029. Once it gets there, it'll spend about 2 years orbiting and studying this incredible object.
And as soon as it gets into orbit, it's time to break out the science toolkit. First, it's got a multispectral imager, basically a super fancy camera to map out the entire surface. Then it'll use a gamma ray and neutron spectrometer, a mouthful, I know, but that's what's going to figure out exactly what Psyche is made of. It also has a magnetometer, which is designed to sniff out any signs of an ancient magnetic field. And finally, they'll use the radio system itself to measure Psyche's gravity. All these gadgets working together will give us the first complete picture of this bizarre metal world.
So when you boil it all down, this whole mission to Psyche, it's not a treasure hunt for gold or platinum. It's a quest for something way more precious, knowledge about where we come from.
This chart really puts it all in perspective, doesn't it? You've got the entire global economy over here, sitting at around $100 trillion. Then you have this mythical, totally bonkers value for Psyche at 10,000 trillion. But the third bar, the real scientific value, the understanding we're going to get, you can't even put a number on that. It's literally priceless.
Look, that $10 quintillion price tag, it's a great story, it's a fun myth. But what's really cool is that the myth points us to a much deeper truth. Psyche is a powerful reminder that the greatest riches the universe has to offer aren't always things we can mine or sell. Sometimes they're the things we can learn.
So no, we're not going to be mining Psyche to make a quick buck, but the secrets it holds about how our own world was born, those are truly priceless. And it kind of leaves you with one last thing to think about, doesn't it? What is the real value of a discovery that could completely rewrite the story of how we all got here?